Hello fellow Parkies and Parky enthusiasts. As you know, we're getting weaker. Our muscles just seem to not operate as well. One thing that really affects my balance is my legs, and I just thought my legs were getting weak, so I decided I should start riding a bike. And so I heard about these e-bikes. I didn't know really anything about them until I met a friend, a younger man, about 55. Now before I introduce you to this guy, and he can tell you more about this bike, let's just talk about this helmet. This may be the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's got these buttons on the side, you see? You hit the first two buttons and hold it down for 1 second. It's now on, and it's connected to your phone and Bluetooth. Anybody that's riding with you in a group that has one of these helmets on, it's turned on, you can talk to them. Normal conversation. You can hit the middle button one time for a second after you're on, and you got your music. Also, you got your phone. You get a phone call, you can control the phone call from these buttons. Most of you really know I'm technologically challenged at my age. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Now, one of the features that I've noticed so far, I've had the bike 3 weeks. My leg strength is really getting better. But one thing that's really going on is my balance. Riding a bike, you have to stay balanced, and this really helps your balance. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself, Dave Isola, who's going to open the bike store.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat. I've got to say, Pat's enthusiasm for these bikes has really amped up my enthusiasm also. I don't know if Pat told the story, but we were on a way to a meeting together, and I happened to mention that I was getting into e-bikes, and Pat was all excited. He had just seen one at Costco and thought it would be a wonderful therapeutic tool for his Parkinson's, for purposes of balance and concentration and leg strength. Well, that afternoon, I brought him over one of my bikes, one that just looks like this, a boomerang model right here. And of course, Pat's wife was perhaps not all too thrilled, but Pat jumped on the bike and took off and was just having a heck of a time. Got back from about a 15-minute ride and said, "How fast can you get me one of these?" And I said, "Well, you know, give me a little bit of time. I'm not quite open yet, but I've got some connections. I can get you a bike." So I got Pat the bike, and ever since we've been working together to spread the word to folks with Parkinson's, with other types of mobility. This is an opportunity to get back out there, to get in the beautiful outdoors, and to get some exercise in, because as Pat has probably attested to already, he gets on that bike and he's got to think about balance. He's got to think about connecting his brain with his legs, and that's a big deal for his therapy. The brand is Pedigo, one of the nation's leading manufacturers and distributors in the e-bike field. These bikes come with a 5-year warranty, which is unique in the field. E-bikes are purchased online, and then there's never any relationship between the buyer and the seller. Pedigo, we're absolutely the opposite. We want to have a continuing relationship for purposes of services or anything else, putting together community rides and really bringing folks around the Pedigo brand and all of the benefits that these bikes offer. There are several different models, ranging from a tricycle to a tandem to real serious off-road trail type bikes. And when we talk about these bikes, we talk about accessibility. But for folks like Pat who are just looking to get some exercise, some recreation, maybe a little bit of therapy. So just like with a pair of shoes or golf clubs, you've got to have the right fit. And if mobility is a challenge, then we have a bike like this called the Boomerang, which, as you will see, has a very low step-through area, which allows for absolute ease of access. Also has a very low center of gravity, which helps with the balance. These bikes have 5 levels of pedal assist, and then there's the option of not having any pedal assist. So you can ride this bike just as a non-e-bike, however they're a little on the heavy side. With the different levels of pedal assist, you can take these bikes between about 9 miles an hour and 7 miles an hour in level 1, up to 20 miles an hour, which is the regulated speed up in level 5. These bikes also have a handy dandy throttle here, which allows you just to move the bike along like a motorcycle. That comes in very handy if you're in crowded areas where you're doing a lot of stopping and starting, crossing streets, things like that. The next model up in terms of accessibility, we have here the Comfort Cruiser. Once again, this is an accessible model because of the ability to get into the bike without having to throw the leg over the side. This bike, the difference between these two bikes, is a little sturdier. This bike is more like perhaps sitting at a bar stool or something like that. Next we have, very popular bike, the Element. Is kind of a hooligan bike. It will accelerate very nicely. All these bikes are by law capped at 20.8 miles an hour, so it's not a matter of top speed, it's just a matter of getting up to speed, and this one's a real kick in the pants in terms of having some fun. This center bar is higher on the Element than it is on the Comfort Cruiser, which makes it just a little bit less accessible. And then finally, this is my personal daily drive. This is called the City Commuter, and this probably is on the upper end in terms of accessibility, or challenging for accessibility, because you have to bring the bike down to be able to get on the bike, as opposed to the Boomerang that we started off with back there, where you simply just step through the bike and get into it. The range on these bikes, there are several variables, but for the most part, in a flat area like we're here in the Central Valley, these bikes will probably go somewhere between 50 and 70 miles on a single charge, depending on how much throttle is used. My store, Pedigo Elk Grove, California, just a little bit south of Sacramento, will be opening May 1st. We'd love to have any folks come by. In the meantime, we're on the website, www.pedigoelkgroveca for California.com. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Think about a Pedigo because it's your ticket to fun.